Everyone wants more money, but most of us weren't taught how to create an abundant life. That's where the law of attraction, manifesting success stories show comes in. If you are ready to have more money, create more freedom, and experience more fun, turn the volume up. It's time to learn how to create the prosperity and life you have been dreaming of. Here's your host, Cassie Parks.
Hello and welcome to this episode. I am your host, Cassie Parks, and we are back with the bonus Q&A with the fabulous women of the Living Your Dream 2026A group. Leslie, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, so I have a question for you, Cassie, and that is how many times a day do you manifest something and you get that fun feeling inside that I just manifested that?
I'm pretty much all day, every day, because I don't set, as much anymore as like this thing or that thing, right? It's all the life. So every day I wake up and I'm like, oh, I manifested that. Oh, that's happening. That's awesome. This trip was amazing. That, and still you guys are starting to have some of this experience. But one of the coolest things about manifesting as you get good is you really it becomes just a thought like, oh, I'd really like, I don't know, pizza tomorrow night. I'd really like pizza. And then all of a sudden your friend's like, hey, can we come over tomorrow night and bring pizza? And so just really fun things like that, where it just is a thought, or, oh, I'd really like to go to that place. And somebody is like, oh, hey, do you want to go? And so all day, every day. And it is so much fun. It never gets old. I love it. It's my favorite thing to know I manifested something and see what's coming. So yeah, that's it. Anything else about that I can tell you?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if anyone else wants to ask anything further about that, but yeah, I guess what you're saying is it's a way of being and it's just become who you are.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's definitely become who I am and who I expect. And I can't remember, I was on an earlier call today, somebody was talking about not having a wait at a restaurant. And that's a really good example. Like I have friends that are with me and they're like, oh, it doesn't matter if they say 40 minutes, we're with Cassie, we'll be in 2. I become also that person who brings the magic to everything, where people just expect things to happen simply because I'm in the group or I'm, doing things with it, which is fun. And it is super fun when it becomes your way of being. Awesome. Cool. Louisa, do you have a question?
Yes. So if the purpose of scripting is for fun and not for us to make things happen, then why does the things I script happen that day?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because making things happen is sort of this energetic. It's the difference between when I say, and when in some of the scripting lessons, like you're not scripting to make it happen. You're not controlling and doing it, but you're scripting to have fun, but also to practice being that person. So it's not that it's not leading to creating what we want. And the more we let go of it being about making it happen or, getting that thing to happen, getting there faster, and more about the fun and living into that place and the beingness, the fun of being that person, the more that will happen. I'm not surprised that, after we did some coaching and opened up some things about your scripting, that you script that and those conversations, those experiences just happen so natural. So it's not that we're not doing it so that we create things. We're just not doing it to really force, like, I want every single thing in this to happen. We're doing it really for the practice of being the person who lives that life and has those experiences.
Got it. Okay. That makes total sense. It's just because it freaks me out
when it happens,
when it happens, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I don't want to force this, so I try to avoid sometimes. Like when something comes up, my husband's like, oh hey, this boat just showed up. Do you want to invest in that? I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I've been scripting about that, and like I said, he has I plant my own seeds. Nobody has a clue about what my scripts are. They're very personal to me. And then I'm thinking, oh my gosh, am I forcing that? I thought I wasn't making this happen, but that makes sense. That's who she is. That's what I expect her to be and her to have, and the life she has, and I'll grow into that with her.
Yes. Oh,
Got
that's
it.
so awesome. I love hearing that. And I'm not at all surprised that the boat came up, because you've been so good at being that person who's in that day with the boat and that whole life that surrounds that.
Yeah, and every morning there's sun, there's coffee, there's peace, there's I'm speechless. When I sit back at the end of the day, I'm like, oh my gosh, that happened, that happened, that happened, that happened. And they just keep happening more and more every day, naturally, easily, on its own.
Yay, that's awesome.
Thank you for clearing that up.
You are welcome. Thank you for asking. Any other questions pop up for anyone that they would like to ask now? Leslie and then Shauna.
Well, I'm because I haven't done the Future Self workshop yet, but I'm also in the part of Manifest 10K where I've started to do some scripting.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm now that just listening to what Louisa was asking about, I'm just kind of curious. Now, what was my question about that? Oh, like how did you come to understand that scripting helps us to practice being our future self?
It was an evolution. So I learned about scripting when I was doing some law of attraction coach training. I think I knew about it, but it was really a little deeper. And when I quit my job and I wanted to become a successful coach who had lots of clients and, people invested in, I knew that I had a lot of not that experience. I had been trying to build my business for 7 years unsuccessfully. So I had a lot of beingness that was not successful. And I knew that the key to being success, experiencing the success that I wanted, was I had to know what that felt like to be that person. And so when I wrote Manifest 10K, I did the same scripting that you're doing, not the exact guided, but the free, what I would call more of a free flow scripting. So when you get to that point in Manifest 10K, where you've built up all of these amazing beliefs about money and really shifted, and then you can put that into practice, into the beingness through scripting. I did all of that as I built Manifest 10K, because I knew if I wanted people to show up and be successful, I had to know what that experience was like. So I continually got into that experience by scripting every single day. If I hit a stuck point when I was writing Manifest 10K, I went back to scripting for a few minutes, and then I go back to writing it. And by stuck point, I mean just where it wasn't flowing, where it's like, oh, what's next? I would just script, and then it would come up. And as that evolved, I saw that working, but I also felt like, oh, there has to be a little bit more. And so I started exploring and like, okay, if I want this in depth, and part of it was a relationship. I'd been a single for a long time. So I took that and I said, okay, I've got this experience of a coach, but I also need this experience of a relationship. And I want that to be in a life, not just about a relationship. And so I started scripting the life, taking it one step further from what I had done in Manifest 10K, which is what you're doing, free flowing, awesome, to really creating and seeing this life. And then there was a couple of other things that happened along the way, one of which was interviewing someone about the brain and learning and understanding our brain starts to change in 3 days when we put that new focus in. So that, and then I wrote a book. It was total inspiration to write Investing Secrets for a Champagne Life. It was like I had to do it. There's a little bit of a story, but I call my publisher. I'm like, hey, I need to write this book. Like, she had a 3-day, it was her first write a book in 3 days event coming up. And I said, do you want more stories? I'll tag along. I'll do it from here. Cause they were doing it somewhere else. She's like, yep. And actually she was like, if you can fly out here, you can do it. But it wasn't inspired to go, but I did it along with them. And what I realized is, I wrote that about a year after quitting my job. And without a steady income, having not built a coaching income yet that could be shown on my, years of taxes. I knew that I couldn't, like, investing in real estate was on hold. But after I wrote that book in 3 days, within 6 weeks, I was under contract to buy and sell like 3 to 4 properties. And I was like, how did this happen? Like, this shouldn't be possible because of XYZ, but how did I create this? And when I went back, I'm like, oh, obviously I created this. I spent 3 days focused on real estate investing and what it does and what the numbers do. So no wonder I created all of these opportunities to buy and sell where things were just falling into place. I didn't need traditional loans. All of this stuff was happening. And so that's when I really put together all the pieces for me came together, like, oh, this is a thing. This will work. And this is what you need to do, is put this initial focus and energy of 3 days where you're just on your future self and getting in touch with her, and then go out and live it. So that's how that came about. Any follow-ups or other questions to that? Chana. Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
No, you're okay. I mean, I was going to ask a question about focus, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I have not taken the Future Self workshop yet either. I'm very excited about it. But yeah, I feel I'm in a place where I'm scripting,
Mm-hmm.
and I love those assignments. They're starting to feel more natural, and I think I'm getting the flow of it. But I guess I feel like I'm in this spot where it's like there's so many things that are swimming around in my head. Like I feel like I don't know what to focus on.
Mm-hmm.
And so what's my question? I guess, yeah. And I did ask this, was like, tips, techniques, trips on how to be more present. That's where I feel like I'm missing a lot, right? Like I'm missing a lot of people's evidence on calls, or just evidence in my day to day, like listening to Louisa. I was thinking about, oh, well, I guess in my day to day, there is time for me to have coffee in the morning, and I'm not super rushed. But then I realized, like, oh yeah, this morning I talked about it, that, oh yeah, I had time to walk George. George is my cat. My cat likes to go for walks, and have coffee after that. And it wasn't like the super rushed morning. And I'm realizing, oh, that's evidence of my future self. Maybe it's not exactly what I want it to look like, but that there's still that evidence that I'm living it. I'm sorry. That's not a question. It's more of an observation.
Yeah. Well, I think the question in there was, how do I become more present? And the answer is, you are doing that. The awareness that all of that you spouted off, that you even see that, like, oh, maybe I am missing something, is an indication you are becoming more present. Because before, 8-9 months ago, you didn't even know you were missing all of these things that were coming into your life. A great example is, we talked about in the last 2 interviews, I'm not sure which one it was, but about, all the things on some of your original, because we went through your 10K list to really get clear on what you wanted. And going through all of that was a big journey for you. And so the inspiration, the presence to hear that whisper, oh, can I go look at that list? And then to recognize that is all you becoming present. It's not an instant thing. It's a process thing, and you're in the process, and it's totally working, and you're becoming more present. And you can, write down the evidence that, oh, like I heard Louisa say that, and I remember, oh, that's great evidence. Or, you're starting to see other people's evidence. You're starting to notice all of that. All of that is you becoming more present to what's already here. And so it's already happening. You're already doing it. You just keep doing the work, and you naturally become more present. You cannot keep doing this work, especially after the Future Self workshop, and not naturally and easily become more present.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Because there are times too where when we share how money is showing up in our lives, like somebody would be like, oh, and I found a penny. I'm like, oh, I was out earlier and I didn't even look around me to see if there was a penny on the ground or a billboard or, where's that evidence? So, but to your point, it's just even recognizing like that maybe it's my perception or maybe my judgment on myself is like, oh, you're missing this. Like you're not being present, but it's the flip side of it is no, like I am being present because I'm just recognizing it. Okay.
Yeah. You're aware now of what you weren't aware of before, which is awareness is where it all starts.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love it. Awesome. These are fabulous questions. Anyone have a follow-up or a new question that popped into their head listening? Shauna.
Sorry.
No, you're perfect.
Going back to our Manifest 10K list,
Mm-hmm.
is there ever like when do we get to write a new one?
When you got everything on that list, on the list that we said this is the list. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And so if said items on the list aren't here yet and I'm feeling anxious, how do I work through those feelings of one, that kind of that wanting feeling,
mm-hmm.
and also the that feeling that I want to fix it, like, because I want to do a new list.
Right. Yeah. You want to pick a new list where you could maybe cheat a little and write things that would happen. Is my guess of what would happen if I said that. It would be like an easier, like, oh, I know this can manifest, right? Is generally what would happen. It might not be with you, but mostly if somebody wants to write a new list, it's because, oh, I need to pick the easier. I want to get that success instead of staying with and trusting the process. Like we all get the journey that we need. So if somebody manifests their 10K list really fast and they're making another one, that's awesome. And that's their journey. And that's what they needed, was that success in that moment. Success being the list, not, I want to find a different term, but that's what's coming up at this moment. Versus for you, oh, it's taking a little bit longer for it to show up. And there's going to be lessons in how it shows up. Right. Just like there's lessons in, oh, those things showed up that I just mentioned I wanted months ago. They came into my life. The way that your list comes to fruition is perfect for who you are becoming as your future self. And you're building the lessons and the muscles and the trust and the experiences and the evidence, and it's happening, that you need, that are going to like build your toolbox in the future and prepare you for those things in the future.
Okay. Can I, and that totally makes sense. I didn't mean to be like, okay, moving on.
Yeah, no, that's perfect.
Yeah. When you explain it like that, I'm like, oh, okay, of course. Like, yeah, like I couldn't imagine myself a few months ago, like you said, maybe getting the house, getting the down payment, all of that stuff. Right. I don't think I'm there yet. Like you, so I think where I was coming from, my initial feelings around asking when we would be able to write a new 10K list is, I think because of those feelings of the wanting feelings, I'm in this sort of cycle of feelings of like, okay, it's not here yet, and sort of feeling negative. Okay, but I don't want to attract more of what I don't want. So how do I feel better about it if it's not here yet? Do you see where it's like,
yeah,
I kind of going in circles of like, I don't want to attract what I don't want, more of what I don't want, which is not having what I want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the first step is really stepping away from that. I feel bad it's not here, and putting the energy and focus, like really up level your evidence in your it's happening list. Like the challenge I would give you is in the next week to find 50 pieces of evidence that's what's on your 10K list is getting closer. because that is where you put your focus to see that and to really get, and when we see the evidence and it's happening, when we get so good at seeing those, there's this moment where they become as good as the real thing. And that's the moment right before the real thing shows up, because we're not attached. It's not, oh, but I want that's great evidence, but I want this, because you have trained yourself and focus like, oh man, I get evidence every day. This is on its way. And so you become the person who expects it to be on its way. You expect it tomorrow, like your package is out for delivery. Oh, great. It's out for delivery. It'll be here tonight or tomorrow. You become that person. And so you start to let go. And that's when it really starts showing up faster.
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's awesome. Okay. Thank you.
Yay. You're welcome. Louisa?
I'm so happy you said that, Cassie, about manifesting things. And you're absolutely right. A year ago, LOL on my own, when you're playing with it in the beginning, and then I started with you in January, things that were out there that was going to come to me that I totally forgot about. So nothing that was on my 10K list has started to come. So that new driveway, that new walkway, the new blinds for the house, the new gardens, I have pictures of these things from a year ago. And you're absolutely right. Nothing will be forgotten. It will all come to pass. And it's just amazing how we're always looking sometimes for just those lists that we have. And it's more than that. We've been making and wishing for these lists for a long time. And and it's just amazing. You're absolutely right where you said those things all do come to pass eventually.
Yes, they do. And when they come and when they show up, and especially, we see why, that's why it didn't get here yet. That's why this other cool stuff came first. Right? Because I wasn't ready, or I needed this, or this helped me become that person. Yeah, it's all coming.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Cool. Any other questions or anything you want to share on those topics? This is a great Q&A session. Thank you all. Thank you all for sharing your journey and asking the questions. I know everybody is going to love these. So thank you so much and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you for joining us on the Law of Attraction Manifesting Success Stories show. To learn how to attract more money into your life, go to your favorite book retailer and order Cassie's book, Manifest $10,000.